that's the whole reason that I got into it. Is I wish my mom had somebody like me, to lean on for free, that they can lean on and just ask questions. Whatever question you have about money in whatever capacity, just know that there's somebody that you can speak to for free, that can tell you what's up with no bias, right? I don't have, any bank that I'm beholden to. I'm just here for the people to let them know what's up.
Hi, I'm Ronnie.
Hi, everyone. We're here today on Borderless. Today we have Pedro. Me and Pedro know each other back from we used to work together. I was an intern there. He was a sales representative. Two funny stories. We didn't call each other up to have the same matching pants here. We just have great style. And I once got him in trouble for getting Dunkin' Donuts took too long because I didn't know the New York City addresses and stuff like that. I didn't know how to use Google Maps back then, but this was like 2016 pretty much. So I got him in trouble.
When I told my girlfriend I was going to do this podcast, I tried to remember the story as accurately as possible. But essentially it was International or National Donut Day. And I asked Raniel I'm like, hey, he says, I can't really be away from my computer that long because I always have clients calling in and, that's an opportunity to make money. So I say, Ronnie, do you want some free donuts? And then I'm like, okay, there's a Dunkin' Donuts, close by. Let's, get us some donuts, and then, let's get another dozen, I think I said, for the team. Do you want to take it away from there? Was that accurate or so?
No, that was pretty accurate. So I came back way too late, obviously, because I had gone to the wrong Dunkin' Donuts. There was one right downstairs or right around the corner. And I guess someone was looking for me that was at the time. And I was just like, I just went to Dunkin' Donuts and scooped up some donuts. And they were like, you were gone for I don't know, an hour. I don't know how long it was. Way too long, obviously. And then I was like, yeah, I didn't mean to throw him under the bus. I was like, yeah, Pedro had suggested to go grab some donuts. And then the sales representative manager on top of Pedro very much like, what the fuck did you do? It was one of those if someone asks you as an intern, you kind of do it. And not like he was trying to do anything malicious. It was just they were just you're not supposed to do this. This ain't the old school style of sending the intern to grab donuts.
I thought he would be back right away. We were all even though Ronnie was an intern, we were all pretty cool because our organization was a startup and everybody there was young. The oldest person was probably the CEO, the CFO, and they were still under 50. So we were all in our 20s, and Dunkin' Donuts was right downstairs. They're giving out free donuts. And on top of that, I'm like, hey, let's get some free donuts, I couldn't be away from my computer for more than 5 minutes, or else I'd be losing probably thousands of dollars. But I thought Ronnie would be right back. It took a little bit over an hour, and I got my ass chewed out for that one, which
I'm sorry about
it's all good.
Definitely would go back and learn how to use Google Maps by then. But going off of that, as we were talking about, Pedro worked at so it was a small financing technology company. They did really well during post-COVID, I would say, because that's when businesses started to kind of, or not post-COVID, during the recession. There was that recession that happened in 2008.
Well, they started, I'm going to say they started around 2008 with a new platform of lending to small businesses. Before that, there was something called factoring, which, for a lot of trucking companies that is done. They lend money to you based on your contracts. And then when you get paid on your contracts, you then got to pay back. There was also another form of lending to businesses. It was called cash advances. So very much you take and I suggest you don't do this, but you can take cash out from your credit card, right? Up to a certain dollar amount. So what businesses used to do was borrow money against their receivables from their credit card purchases. So people that buy with credit cards, every night, all the credit card purchases from MasterCard, Visa, Amex, those go and they process through the processors, and then either the next day or in 48 hours, then they hit the business bank account. So what would happen is the lenders would take a piece or a percentage of your credit card sales when you borrow money, and this would happen every day. Revolutionized that, and instead of doing that, they came up with a way to take a payment out of your bank account, essentially, through what we know as ACH, which is Authorized Clearinghouse. For those of you that don't know, is essentially how you get paid when you get paid from your job, direct deposit. So same way that you get direct deposit, you can set up a direct deposit to come out of your account. So they revolutionized that. They were small, and then they got bigger. The industry got bigger, and now it's a huge multi-billion-dollar industry that's not too heavily regulated. Although them as a leader, they took it upon themselves, along with the other big dogs in the industry, to come up with a rubric for lending. But there are still shady lenders out there, just like there's predatory lending, payday loans. Yeah. So there's something like payday loans, but for businesses as well. It's a great industry. I don't knock it.
Yeah, going off of that, how did you take that experience that you learned there and go into non-for-profit that you're in now?
So that actually led me to, it kind of pushed me to the industry that I am in now and the work that I do now. So I was in lending through financial technology for about 5 years. I did wealth management before that. I was going to take over a very large account. This was going to be United Way of New York City, their retirement account. And with that, since it's a commercial account, I was also going to have the opportunity to do cross-sell. And it was a lot. It was going to be like one check, just, I got Nationwide behind it. They did the whole thing. I just came on as the person that would be handling the account. But, Nationwide was going to handle the 403B or the 401k. And then, I was going to handle everything else in terms of the service provided to the clients, the allocations, all of that. That didn't happen. There was a meeting. We came in at number 5 out of the top 5 that they picked. Even though Nationwide was donating like $300,000 a month to United Way, I'm gonna say it was either a month or a year, but it was a lot of money. They chose someone else. The HR person chose someone else. Now that's something that could have been life-changing for me. The first check was gonna be like $300. I'll probably get taxed, so I'll probably be home like $140.
Oh, yeah.
But still nice, right? You put in a lot of time and work into this, and it didn't pan out. So when that didn't pan out, I had an ex-coworker who worked already lending for one of our competitors, and he was making really, really good money. And I said to myself, you know what? Since this deal didn't go through, that's all I was waiting for. I'm done. And so I went from wealth management in terms of securities, insurance, direct investments, all of that, over to the lending side. I picked it up pretty quickly. And, for the first 3 months, I dominated in terms of like the number of applications that you bring in. So you're on the phone, you're cold calling businesses all day. There's a lot of, the things that you'll hear on the other side of the phone sometimes are not fun. I mean, you're calling up a business owner all over the country. Mm-hmm. And so you don't know what you're going to hear. So the things that I've heard, this was, Obama was still president when this happened. So the things that I heard on the other side were not fun. You got to have tough skin. But, you know, the money was good. The money was great. I managed to take, you know, my little cousin from working in the movie theater, making, you know, 24 grand a year to now, you know, doubling that in less than a year, right? So it was good. After being a junior associate, or whatever you want to call it, about 3-4 months into it, moved over to a senior accounts manager, and so that's when I would actually be able to do the deal myself. Before that, I was just bringing applications in. You know, I would get $50 per application, and like plus my salary, and then there would be bonuses. So if you're the person that brought in the most, you'll get an American Express gift card, right? Which it's pretty much cash. I would take it and deposit it into my bank account at the end of the week or the month, let's say, right? And that was awesome. It was, you know, it was very fast paced. If you guys have not seen Boiler Room, you should watch Boiler Room, right? Very Boiler Room type of atmosphere, but you know, we were meeting a need that was not being met. If you talk to any business owner who's not doing $1 million in gross revenue a year, getting money from a bank, SBA, whatever it is very, very tough, because these are considered micro businesses. And so I then went over to, you know, doing the deals myself. And, you know, that was great because now you're getting commission on the deals. The first deal that I ever did was because we would broker out the deals or do them through our own company. Wherever we can make the most money, that's where we do it. And so I did an $80,000 deal through, and on that I got paid like, I don't know, $1,000 on that just one deal. And I was like, wow, this is dope. A couple of my friends worked at, three of my boys worked at, and you know, I was out at happy hour one time. It was me, my vice president, the sales director, and my boy who got me the job at the company. I feel like we should bleep out the company name, but whatever. And at Dunder Mifflin. So we were out, and you know, the vice president of the sales department from Dunder Mifflin was like, "Listen, you're great. We would love to have you, but like he said it. I didn't say anything. He just, you know, came out and said it, and he's like, but you know, there's a non-compete situation." I'm like, okay. So I spoke to my friends. I went. I interviewed. They wanted to make an offer, but since they worked together, the two businesses, there was a non-compete issue. Mm-hmm. And you know, if I try to get out that way, it was not going to be fun. So I told my vice president, the person that hired me, told him about it, and he pretty much said, "Let me talk to this guy, because you know, it's like we could essentially put you out for a year if we wanted to," right? And I was not trying to do that. So yeah. I went about it, I guess, the right way by letting him know that, you know, I wanted to switch companies, and I understood that there was a non-compete. And, you know, I went out to lunch with my friend who got me the job, and I'm like, you know, this might go south. And he's like, well, you know, we'll see. I go back to the office. My VP taps me on the shoulder. He's like, you know, pulls me over to the sales director's office, and he goes, we talk to him, and he's like, and I tell him, and then he's like, you know, let me get some time to think about it. Then I'm on a call. I'm finalizing my deals, and you know, he comes by my desk and he just shakes my hand and he says, "You got it." And I'm very happy for that happening, because, you know, I finished out my month. This is like January 2014. I finished out my month, and then, you know, February I'm onboarding and like, you know, you do the orientation or whatever, and like the Lego song just plays in your head. You know, everything is awesome. Like, listen, this is the Coca-Cola of that industry. They treat their employees great. The technology is awesome, and it was dope. So like, you know, also I was making more there. I mean, they had instant approvals for businesses, so like they had lines of credit. I mean, the product offering was better, pricing was better, the capacity of the loans was higher, right? They go up to like 250. After some time, they went up to 500. And it was a lot that was done. And, you know, I managed to get some of my friends in there, which was awesome. Recently, I went to a reunion, and some of them are there till this day. And, you know, they're doing very good for themselves.
Nice.
Yeah. So there were some layoffs that happened after some time, after about like 2 years, because since they were a growing company, they were, you know, spending a lot. So there were some layoffs, and I was part of those. Then I said to myself, you know what, I'm not gonna be in the industry anymore. And about, I'm gonna say 3 to 6 months after, somebody who was one of my college suite mates, which is essentially an apartment that you get when you're in college, that's a suite. He reached out and he asked me to come on board because they had a position. And so I came on board to another company that was doing the same. But this company did not only do the deals themselves, but they also brokered out the deals. So, you know, while there was well-priced money, there was also very expensive money that people, you know, would have to take. And there came a point where charging someone who, you know, has English as a second language or does not have a mastery of the English language, you know, 50 cents on a dollar for, you know, with crazy terms. I said to myself, yeah, I am now completely done with, you know, the industry, and I want to go back and help people in a way where they're not gonna, if they have to borrow money, they're not gonna be charged these crazy rates, because like their credit's gonna be good, their business credit's gonna be good, they're gonna have assets that they can leverage and collateralize against you know, certain loans, and be able to have more access, because marginalized people, we just pay for more for everything in this country. That's a fact. Whether it be on rent, whether it be on like food deserts, whatever you know, whatever you want to call it, it's called the poor tax. And you know, that's what we're paying out here. So that's what led me to switch. And then, you know, there was this other company where I expressed interest in real estate, but they just wanted somebody to be a financial coach or a financial counselor. I still speak to them to this day, and I'm thankful actually that I didn't go that route, because I'd probably still be there.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the job there. One of my friends worked there, because a lot of the times to get your foot in the door, it's who you know. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's how it is. And so I didn't get the job there. So then I applied to another nonprofit for the same role, but it also came with a housing counselor aspect, where you're dealing with rental rights, home purchasing rights, and walking people through the entire process when it comes to purchasing their home, as well as, you know, helping people get apartments, you know, and understand what their rights are. People with vouchers, help them understand what their rights are, because a lot of the times, you know, you'll hear, I have a voucher, but nobody's taking, you know, Section 8, nobody's taking FEPS, whatever that is. That's illegal, right? But we don't know what we don't know. You're not going to tell somebody that's been in a shelter for 6 months, and now has a voucher, you know, that they can't move, that they can move into the next building. You know, they think otherwise. Like,
Yeah.
I have to be in a shitty place for some time, right? Like, these are the only people that are taking this this voucher, right? And you know, that's not true. Whether they might not be advertising it, Anybody that rents a 5+ unit apartment in a 5+ unit building, you know, legally, your source of income, as long as it's legal, should not matter, right? And so people don't know that, even if it's government assistance via voucher, it should not matter. That's one of like many different rules that are in place. But that's the whole reason that I got into it. Is I wish my mom had somebody like me, you know, to lean on for free, that they can lean on and just ask questions, whatever question you have about money in whatever capacity. Just know that there's somebody that you can speak to for free, you know, that can tell you what's up with no bias, right? I don't have, you know, any bank that I'm beholden to. You know, I'm just here for the people to let them know what's up.
What are some stories that you may have that you've seen or like have been repetitive? Maybe it's like something that these individuals constantly kind of like you've noticed that different parties always bring up that they've never faced before. What are some of those issues?
Issues in terms of what? Go ahead. Like, or who?
I know you gave like a general background of what you did, do and stuff. But like, has there ever been like a specific situation that has been repeating with all these different stories or these different people?
Everybody's different, you know, people are people. And so like everybody's story is different. And so that's why I do what I do, because like, there's no cookie cutter approach, right? You could be somebody, you know, I'm a principal, I make, you know, $100,000 a year. Oh, I took out a mortgage for my sister a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's time for me to get a mortgage. I can't, because my sister, you know, my mortgage is on my sister's name, and my debt to income utilization is not enough for me to get a home at this point. You know, I ran up, you know, during the pandemic, I ran up a bunch of credit cards, and now, you know, I'm drowning in debt because, you know, I used those credit cards. I wasn't working, you know, and now like I cannot afford what I could potentially afford again, because I got to pay those credit cards. I mean, I would say that a lot of people that have access to credit unions, they tend to borrow a lot more in terms of like loans. Yeah. It's a good thing because, I mean, credit unions, they lend you money very cheaply versus the alternative, which is getting unsecured loans at higher rates. But, you know, all these things affect us. What I've seen is that people don't budget. They don't set up a budget. They don't sit down on themselves and say, and I listen, when I do my budget, I hate it, right? And that's the first thing that I tell them when I'm doing a holistic financial review, right? I'll pull their credit. I'll run through everything, all 3 credit bureaus. I put up a mirror to themselves. I let them know, listen, today's session is going to be us looking over your current situation so that we can then put a plan to get to where we want to get to, right? And everybody's situation is different. I've seen it all in terms of credit, debt, whatever. I've seen it all. I mean, the story is a tale as old as time. Is, you know, people that want to do better for themselves get taken advantage of, right? Yeah. Like I've got clients that I've helped them get discharged, their student loans discharged because they've been enrolled in fraudulent schools, right?
Yeah.
You know, cosmetic schools or whatever other technical schools that promised you employment or whatever, and you know that hasn't happened. Mm-hmm. And we know that, like, yeah, everybody was going to get their loans discharged or whatever, but that didn't happen, right? What did happen recently was that the government actually acted in large scale on these fraudulent schools. So when you see, oh, you know, Biden, you know, got whatever discharged, that was supposed to happen, and it didn't happen. And now you have people like their credit is messed up. They were supposed to have these discharged anyways, but the government was not doing what it was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right. So that whatever, you know, millions of dollars or even billions probably that got discharged, for the most part, that was for people that were supposed to get their loans discharged anyways because of these fraudulent schools, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, things move very slow when there's no money to be made, right? And so that's what happened. And then on the other end, these are public service loan forgiveness that was supposed to happen, and for whatever reason, we know the reason. Again, there was no money to be made, actually money to be lost, a lot of money to be lost. And so, people would have to jump through many hoops, even if they've been, teachers or whatever, many hoops. And the loan service is telling them, well, you didn't make the right type of payment. You weren't in the right plan. And so since that didn't happen, guess what? You're still paying interest, and interest still accruing. You're paying now. The as a lender, the less money that you have to give me for a mortgage and for your property taxes and for your insurance, that's less money that you can afford in terms of a home, right? So like if I say to you, Ronnie, okay, you make $100,000 a year, you can afford to pay, $3,500 a month overall, right? Okay, so what if I'm paying $200 in a student loan, $200 on a car, and then another $100 on your credit card? That's $500. So that's $500 less that you can give me. That means that since before you could afford, a $400,000 home, now your affordability is at, $320, $350, right? What are you going to find for $320, $350 in the city that's not a co-op? Nothing, right?
Yeah.
And so like all these things are intertwined, and people don't know that these things are intertwined. Like your car payments, those are huge. Like car payments is one of the big ones that I see, right? Car payments are not cheap, and so like it's a big one. And so that's one of the things that I would say, if you're looking to buy a home, listen, save up some money, buy a lemon, as we call it, and then after you get your home, you can splurge. And if you really want to splurge, you can go ahead and get your Beamer or whatever it is that you want to get. But before that, don't, because it's going to hurt your affordability. That's something that I see a lot that holds people back from being able to purchase. Is that $300, $400 car payment on top of any other debts. Yeah.
Everything is awesome.